Welcome to Saturday's edition of the dceu Daily. This will be a rant because I woke up with the hump about the dceu. We get Man of Steel, they say, I know, let's do a Superman movie. Oops, Superman kills Zod. Too much destruction. Divisiveness on the internet about this film. It took a lifetime to reach 200 million in America. Oops, what should we do? Oh, Superman doesn't work. Well, if you did him the right way, he would have done. And I love Man of Steel. So we say, let's bring Batman into it, right? So we do BVS, one of the most expensive indie movies ever made. A very somber, very depressing movie. Another one that I enjoy, but it's not for the audience, not for everyone. And again, divisive conversations on the internet. I know what will solve this problem. We'll bring in another auteur, because that worked the last time, didn't it? So we'll bring David Ayer to do a Suicide Squad movie. Oops, we're a bit worried now because of the conversations around BVS. We better cut David's movie to pieces. Absolute disaster. We go to Wonder Woman. Big success, one of the best comic book movies ever made. Awesome, success, let's get going, right? No, oh shit, we don't want Snyder to do Justice League. Let's dump Snyder and bring in the director who successfully wrote and directed the Avengers movie. That'll work, we'll throw that at the wall and see if it sticks. But we won't allow him to make his own Justice League movie. We'll give him the same schedule that Snyder had. Oops, shit green screen, let's hack Henry Cavill's upper lip, right? Big disaster, flop, everyone hates it. We go to Aquaman, over $1 billion. Yeah, success, we can get going again. Then we get Shazam, makes twice its budget, big success. Families and children love it. We are a go. Then we do Joker, big success, over $1 billion. Oscar win for the lead actor, which was Joaquin Phoenix. Great, let's go. I know, let's allow Margot Robbie, an actress, to have full creative control from a Birds of Prey movie. A Birds of Prey movie that would have really great potential. I know, let's allow this alt-left nut job to blame all men for all women's woes, right? Flop at the box office, disaster. I know, we'll allow Patty Jenkins to have full creative control of Wonder Woman 84, the sequel to the first movie. A woman who doesn't believe Wonder Woman should have her shield and her sword, and decided to do a kind of Quantum Leap movie. Big disaster, flop at the box office. Probably did well on HBO Max. It did do well on HBO Max. A disaster. People take the piss out of it because it's cringeworthy and embarrassing. I know, let's bring in James Gunn. He's an MCU director. We've tried that before. It hasn't worked. Let's do it again. Oops, flop at the box office. Great movie, but flop at the box office. The dceu is a franchise without any foundations. No foundations whatsoever. And you know what? It's so difficult being a DC fan. Where is our franchise? Look at the MCU, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Wow, good little movie, great little cliffhanger at the end, great post-credit scene, everyone's happy, on to the next one. They're doing Moon Knight, which is their version of Batman. They're gonna kill it, aren't they? Great lead actor to play that role. Feige's got it licked. But the dceu hasn't. So at this moment in time, the dceu is a catastrophe. A catastrophe, boys and girls, and all of you. So now, we have to burn down the dceu and do a Flashpoint story, and let's see what happens next. Now, this is what I want to talk about, because the other day, there was a little bit of a rumour about Black Canary being the lead of a new Justice League. Now, I laughed at this at first, but then I thought about this, because Black Canary actually does put together her own Justice League after Crisis on Infinite Earths in the comics. So there's no reason this couldn't work. Journey Smollett is a critically acclaimed actress. So there's no reason this couldn't actually work. And I must admit, I did kind of, oh, here we go. But they've got to try something. But if they are going to get Black Canary, Journey Smollett's Black Canary to do this, at least let's do this properly. Take our time with a Justice League movie. Introduce them in their own films. Let's take our time and do it properly this time. We can't rush to catch up with the MCU. Why? Because that ship has sailed. It's gone. We can never catch up with them. All we can do now is our own thing and hope it's successful. And what I'm hearing from kind of Flashpoint onwards is very exciting. But we can't continue like this. This franchise is an absolute clusterfuck. And as a DC fan, I'm upset. The same thing happened with Superman. After Superman the movie, they sacked Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz. Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz had another 4 Superman movie planned after Superman the movie. It would have been great. But oh no! And it happens and it happens and it happens. You know, they drove Tim Burton out after Batman Returns because they wanted to sell more toys. How did that work out? Not very well. Christopher Nolan did 3 great Batman movies, but he was appointed to kind of godfather the DCEU, but he said no to Christian Bale being Batman in BVS, which again makes no sense. That would have made more sense. I know, let's cast yet another Batman, an older Batman. Well, you already had that older Batman set up in The Dark Knight Rises, but they decided to kind of kill him off. Was he dead? Is he dead? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's tiring, isn't it? It's tiring. And to see our beloved DC universes and our beloved DC characters treated this way. And now we have to wait to see if we can fix this shit. Can we? I don't know. Next year's exciting. 4 exciting movies. But of course I'm angry. And if you're being honest with yourselves, you're angry as well. Because they haven't even tried to put a person in charge, right? From the very beginning, who understood what they're doing. No, they put Christopher Nolan in charge, a director, and then Zack Snyder in charge, another director who they'd already had experience with, who was somewhat problematic with the way he executes his projects. So here we are now. DC fans pulling in different directions. I'm going to boycott DC because they won't restore the Snyderverse. Some of us excited about the future. And the only thing that can fix this now is a reboot, which is exactly what they're going to do. And nobody really knows how this reboot's going to work out. I hope it's the amazing thing I want it to be. As do you. But it hurts, doesn't it? That the MCU is so successful. I wouldn't have minded a DC Extended Universe franchise that was still behind Marvel, but kind of did the right things from the beginning. You know, after BVS was released and we were hearing Snyder saying they cut half an hour off my movie and then they gave it back to him in the extended edition, right? What a mess. And then after the Suicide Squad movie was released, we heard stories from Jared Leto, David Ayer. We knew behind the scenes it was a clusterfuck. Then we got Wonder Woman, great movie. Then we went to Justice League. Justice League, not a great movie, because of the decisions they made behind the scenes at Warner Brothers. Aquaman, a great success. Shazam, Joker. But we can't go on a consistent... Listen, the problem is with the DCEU, you can't keep on saying, oh, oops, let's put a plaster on it. Oh no, my hands are wet, the plaster won't stick. That's the problem. These are professional people, everyone, who should know what they're doing. The DC characters and universes should have a potential of over $1 billion each film. People should be excited, no matter if it's a middling film or an epic film, to go to the cinema and watch these movies. And across the world, people didn't support the Suicide Squad. Why? Because it's not a franchise. It's not a business model people support no matter what happens. And the MCU is, no matter how epic, how indifferent those movies are, People go out and support them because they believe in the person running them. It's a stamp of quality. That's the truth. And we're here now wondering if they can fix it after they're messing it up for 10 movies or so. Can they? Don't ask me. I've been here after movie hoping for the best after each movie. We've had failures, we've had successes, we've had failures, we've had infighting between directors and the studio. It's embarrassing. We've had an actor come out accusing WB of racism and this and that. It just doesn't happen at the MCU, and I know what's going on between Scarlett Johansson and Disney. But at Marvel Studios, the fight isn't with Marvel Studios and Scarlett Johansson. The fight's between Scarlett Johansson and the studio. There's a difference. Even Walter Hamada was pulled into the Ray Fisher thing. Where does it end? Where do the fans get to be proud? Because it is like supporting a sporting team where you wear the colours and you say, this is our franchise and we support it and we're excited for it. And the people putting this together simply haven't done their due diligence. Zack Snyder, I don't care about the mainstream audience. Well, what are you doing directing DC movies then? As much as I love your DC movies, what are you doing involved if you don't care about the people who care about DC? We're talking about the DC diehard fans. You don't care about them either, Zack. Because your fans, your acolytes, are not diehard DC comic fans. They're diehard fans of yours. There's a big difference. I saw someone laughing because the Suicide Squad was being removed from movie theatres because no one was going to watch it. It's not funny. You only think it's funny because you think this will help you with your arguments and your battle to restore the Snyderverse. Well, it won't. It won't. Because the Snyderverse is part of the clusterfuck. Don't you get it, you deluded fucks? Don't you get it? There's no restoring the Snyderverse. That is part of the mess. As much as I love those movies. It's part of the mess. So you can keep on trying to tarnish Warner Brothers and DC and all of that. But it isn't going to help you gain your goal. No. It's only going to make things worse. So I hope Black Canary forms another Justice League. It could be a good idea. And as I said, it goes back to the comics after the multiversal war, after Crisis on let me say that again, on Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that would be an idea that someone out there is forming a Justice League. But what does that mean for Superman and Batman? I don't know what they're planning. I don't. I hope that we just burn down the DCEU Earth 1 and we go to the Batman's universe. That's what I'd like. Start again. Are these people proficient enough and intelligent enough to understand that we need a cohesive, connective universe? I mean, that's what they're talking about. They keep on talking about the multiverse. I'm just scared they're talking about the multiverse in a different way than I am. Because it has to be arranged and it has to be organised. Because get these films wrong next year and we're in even deeper shit than we were with Snyder. And after Snyder, because it hasn't been great after Snyder or afterwards. And don't think just because it's got worse since Snyder's gone that he's the answer. Because I don't think he is, by the way. Again, as much as I like his films, I don't think he's the answer. The answer is an intelligent producer who understands the business of the studio system and storytelling. And that's exactly who Kevin Feige is. Have we got that in Walter Hamada? I don't know. Considering he had issues with the Joker movie, considering that he put Margot Robbie in charge of Birds of Prey, I've got to at least question his judgment, even though I've been very supportive towards him, because I like his multiverse strategy. I think it's a good plan, and I can't judge him on that until I see next year's movies. But I'm just a DC fan who wants to see a great franchise. I don't want to keep on hearing these shills kissing the arse of Marvel Studios and the MCU And that's what I'm saying. I'm fed up. I've lived it. I've lived Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, Justice League, release the Snyder Cut, restore the Snyderverse, the James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, the sequel, not a sequel, not a reboot, kind of what? What kind of marketing is that? And you did it with Wonder Woman 84, it's not a sequel. Hang on, Wonder Woman 84 wasn't a sequel to the first film. Thank you, thank you. It's just a standalone movie. Fuck you. Nobody who you need to watch these films is interested of you, Patty, looking at Wonder Woman 2017, one of the best comic book movies ever made, and saying, well, it's not really anything to do with that. We're not going to use those supporting characters. Because you didn't agree with that first film. You didn't, even though your name is down as the director. You even threw the studio under the bus over the third act. Publicly! These people are throwing the studio... They're having their arguments and disputes publicly. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for who? The fans. Because we keep on getting mocked by the broader audience and the MCU fans. And quite rightly so, because if it was the other way round, I'd be mocking them too. The past is the past. We cannot affect the past, but we can affect the future. It's time to make the right decisions. So if Black Canary is forming a Justice League, do it. But do it with nuance and intelligence. Do it slowly. Show us some origin movies. Have Journey Smollett's Black Canary turn up in every movie trying to recruit these different characters. Great. Let her turn up in J.J. Abrams and Tanashi Coates' Superman film, trying to recruit the brand new Black Superman. Have her turn up in Michael B. Jordan's Superman Val Zod, limited series on HBO Max, trying to recruit him. Yes, you can have two versions of Superman in a multiverse Justice League. Let's do this properly, and let's have each Earth have their own Justice League, but also have one multiverse Justice League. Let's do this properly. There's an opportunity here to fix the DCEU as a great continuing franchise with a connective tissue. I say this every day. The people that you need to come in and watch these movies to make you the money want this because they've seen it already and it works. Kevin Feige is going to grab hold of Fox's X-Men using those actors and that universe and make it more cohesive than it ever was. You wait and see. And God knows what he's doing with Fantastic Four. Whatever your criticisms of the MCU and Feige, he has made it successful. And here at the DCEU, we are not successful. Oh yes, I love Man of Steel and BVS, great movies, but that's all they are. As a franchise, it sucks. And you've got to look at it from the other way around, from the studio's point of view. Because they're seeing this guy getting kind of throwback on the movies he was making, so they got nervous. And they want to make money. Snyder wasn't the way to make record-breaking money. We can argue that he's made more money than the Hamadaverse. Fine. Although two of Hamada's movies have made $1 billion each, that's over $2 billion. Shazam made a profit. The others are a clusterfuck, right? Financially. So he's done okay. But that doesn't get Walter Hamada off the hook. But I'm waiting until next year to judge him. Because if we come to like January of 2023 and what we've seen in 2022 is awful, then he's got to go. And then what happens? You create this multiverse strategy, it doesn't work. Who are you bringing in next? How are you going to fix it again? Do another Flashpoint? You can't. It can't be fixed if next year doesn't work. That's the worrying thing as well. That really does concern me. As I say, these are professional people who work in this industry, and they don't even have a clue from the beginning to bring in someone who knew exactly what they were doing, who understands these comic book characters like Kevin Feige does, who had been working in Marvel live action pre-MCU. We didn't do that. I've said it many times. we started off with Superman Returns in 2005. We could have literally even, we could have literally started a DC Extended Universe there, but Bryan Singer and Christopher Nolan wasn't interested. Well, get people who are interested. However great Nolan did with the trilogy, if you're not interested in making the studio top dollar, then get stuffed. Sorry, because we want our universe that everybody loves. We're fed up of the mockings and the criticisms from the media. We're fans. We want to be proud of each one of these movies, and we want to look forward to post-credit scenes that talk about the next chapter and get us excited, as they do in the MCU. But we haven't got that. We've got a mess. It seems to me the fans, you and me, know more about cleaning up this mess than anybody else. But again, we'll see if Ann Sarnoff and Jim Lee and Walter Hamada can clean up the mess from the other people who formed the DCEU. Time will tell. Because if they do pull it off, it's the biggest magic act of all time. I've never seen a franchise like this. And it keeps on going. That's the funny thing about the DCEU. It keeps on going, doesn't it? I mean, it's outrageous to me, but it keeps on going. It doesn't really make any sense. If we look at Man of Steel to James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, yeah, they mentioned Star Labs, yes, they mentioned Superman. But then the director, James Gunn, pre The Suicide Squad, says, I don't know which Superman it is. The studio haven't decided yet. I don't know. What kind of answer is that? Because if you're seriously saying that Walter Hamada doesn't know which Superman was shot with a kryptonite bullet and put in the ICU, if Walter Hamada doesn't know that, then how can I have any trust in Walter Hamada? That was an astonishing statement. An astonishing statement. You don't know which Superman it is. You've told us you're already in the DCEU. So how can you say it's not Henry Cavill's? Oh, it can be any Superman you want it to be. Fuck off! How can it be? Unless the multiverse is already opened in your movie, but you're not explaining any of that because it's another self-contained movie. Mess. Mess. Mess after mess. Clusterfuck after clusterfuck. Stop trying to throw things and hope they stick. So I hope you've actually got a plan, Walter and Anne and Jim. Because if I come out of DC Fandom 2021 and I feel you don't have a plan and it's just a load of shit, I will be somewhat disappointed. If I come out of next year's 4 movies and Green Lantern Corps and don't feel there's a connective tissue, that there's not a plan, how can I support you? How can I keep on supporting this DC live action universe? If you want to do standalone movies for the rest of time, just do them. You won't have a franchise, but at least you'll be doing good standalone movies, but you're not doing that. You said you're not doing that. You're talking about everything connecting from the HBO Max shows to the movies. You've made that promise. You've made that oath now. So you have to see it through. Warner Brothers has to show that it's a professional studio. Now you've put Walter Hamada in charge. His contract runs out, I think, just after 2022. So he could easily be removed if next year is an absolute calamity, but it can't be. This is where we see if Walter Hamada actually knows what he's doing. He is a smart guy. He is a good producer, but he's come from a little horror franchise at New Line Cinema. So I'm not saying he can't pull this off, I just don't know. Neither do you. Because it's been a mixed bag thus far, but he's been too focused creating this multiverse strategy. So if he pulls this off, I'll say congratulations to him. If he pulls it off. Will he? Again, I don't know. There's more questions than answers because we're not there yet. But we're being left behind by this MCU. And it's hard to take. Believe you me, I've tried to do these videos with the glass half full rather than half empty. I'm in a half-empty mood today because I look at the past and it doesn't fill me with any great confidence. You know, after Justice League, we haven't seen Superman since Justice League. I know we saw him in the Snyder Cut, right? But forget that. They benched him and said they were giving Superman a rest. It was like they were blaming Superman for Justice League. Not themselves, but Superman. Because there's always got to be something to blame other than them and their decisions. So what happens next? What happens next year is so vital now. And I hope that they've sat down and thought about this multiverse strategy really, really carefully. Because there's no mistakes anymore. You can't be making any mistakes anymore. No one's going to put up with your bullshit. People are hyped for the Batman. People are hyped by the movies. I don't think everyone's hyped for them. I think a lot of DC fans are. I don't think as many people from all round the movie viewing kind of community are excited for Flashpoint. I think we are as DC fans, and we'll see where we are closer to the Flash next year if we can get everyone excited for this movie. Because you have to. That's the kind of hype that you need. And if you fail, it's over. How can you fix it if next year fails? What, bring Snyder back again? Would that be the answer? I don't know. Because if it were me, this franchise would have been dead after Justice League. I would have held my hands up and said, this is shit, and we're starting again. I wouldn't be bringing no Zack Snyder back because he's part of the problem. The problem started with him. And then the studio made the problem worse and worse and worse. Instead of saying, we haven't got this right. Justice League was a massive error. They should have even closed the franchise down before Justice League. There should never have been a Justice League. They should have started again. They could have had Joss Whedon start from very scratch, and he wouldn't have been the abusive guy, bear with the sore head he was during that shoot, because he was under the gun as well. And this is what happens when people are under pressure. They attack each other. And that's the problem, everyone. The DCEU as it was should have been aborted after BVS, after that reaction. But they kept on going and going with this idea, that idea. None of it's really stuck. None of it's really worked. The odd film's done well, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman and the Joker. But ultimately there's been no consistency. There's no foundation within the DCEU. So now, next year, they're going to attempt to give us a franchise with foundation. Because this is interesting. You've got the Batman, Black Adam, pre-Flash. Where does this stand? Now we know where the Batman stands in a separate Earth. So it's not affected. Or will it be affected after Flashpoint? I don't know. But Black Adam's in the DCEU within the Shazam universe. And we still don't know about Henry Cavill's Superman. I've said to you I believe he will be in Black Adam and Fury of the Gods. We will see. But there's no word. We don't know. We haven't known anything since 2017. The man even brought in a director with their own pitch for a Superman Man of Steel 2. And they rejected it. They rejected it. This was after Justice League. That would have been the perfect thing to do to help take the horrible taste in our mouths over Justice League. But they rejected it because they blamed Superman for Justice League, don't forget. Even though it wasn't Superman's fault, it's the way they did Superman. Although most of the Superman sequences were pretty much Snyder's. Give or take the black suit, of course. Even when he's overpowered against Steppenwolf. Snyder did that. He's pretty much overpowered against Steppenwolf in Justice League as well. There's no difference apart from the smiling, which was gross and cringy, as we know. If you want a happy Superman, make a happy Superman from the beginning. That's not the way Snyder was going. He is what he is. He was making what he was making. Because Feige from the very beginning had a vision of popcorn movies, of a popcorn franchise that's a bit like the Flash Gordon in the Buck Rogers black and white shorts, where kind of you have cliffhangers at the end and it continues next week as a matinee in the cinema, a precursor to the movies you're actually showing. But what Feige did was he made them into proper movies, and they continue and they have post-credit scenes, and it works. No matter what you think about it, it works. And all we had to do was do a similar thing, but with these DC characters being faithful to what these DC characters always were. It doesn't mean you have to copy and paste the MCU, but the formula Feige has got is perfect. Perfect. Post-credit scenes work. Do post-credit scenes, but good ones. And be consistent about it. Do it from the very beginning. Originally, they were thinking of showing us Ben Affleck's Batman stealing the kryptonite in a post-credit scene in Man of Steel. They said no. If you did that from the beginning, people would have been excited for the next movie. But you didn't do it. Because we can't do what the MCU does. No, that's wrong. Don't be different for the fucking sake of it. Do what works. It's the same with Bale not being used as Batman. Oh, we can't do that. Why? Christopher Nolan doesn't want to run the DCEU. Go away then and bring someone else who does. Someone who's not a director but understands producing a franchise. So next year, as I've said so many times, every day, and I'm sure you're bored of me saying it, is vital and very important now. Failure is not an option. It's not. I have a good feeling for it, by the way, but I've had good feelings before. How many false dawns has the DC live-action universe given us through the years? As I say, going back to Superman the movie and what they did to Dick Donner and Tom Mankiewicz, and they had a big plan for another 4 movies. We've seen it, and with Tim Burton, and with, you know, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy who was going to do a Justice League movie yonks ago. I'm not sure it would have been a good movie, but it sounded awesome. We need to have a plan, and we need to stick to that plan no matter what people on the outside say about it. And there's a plan now. And where C, as I say, it sounds promising, but it sounded promising before. There can be no messing about now. These DC characters in these universes matter to me, and they matter to you. And as I said on the top of the show, we are fed up of the MCU being hailed all the fucking time as this great thing, and while we're being trodden on, because our universe hasn't been run properly. And it just needs someone to grab it and do something special. Now, hopefully, Walter Hamada and Sarnoff and Jim Lee are the ones to do something special next year and beyond. We will have to wait and see for that. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter @MoviesTVMad, on Instagram @MoviesTVMad555, and on TikTok, of course, @MoviesTVMad_XX. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, so what? I had to speak my truth. You speak your truth in the comments down below. Like, share and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and I will see you again on tomorrow's DCEU Daily. Until then, goodbye.